Hi, this is Nate Schulte coming to you again with another episode of Discovering Battles with Nate. For this episode, we're actually going to be talking about a battle in World War II. Now, this battle was a bit of a failure for the Allied forces, but it had a lot of failures for so many reasons. And this battle could have been the battle that would have ended World War II sooner, which was known as Operation Market Garden. Now, Operation Market Garden had been Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery's idea, who was also known as Monty, who was the Field Marshal of the British side. Now, this operation was in two parts. The operation of Market would be the Airborne Division, and Garden, which would be for the ground forces. Now, as you can see right here, we have a bunch of the guys here and stuff. Now, just for the record, the green one with the parachute guys, that was the drop zone for the 101st Airborne Division. The blue will be the 82nd Airborne Division, while the yellow would be the 1st British Airborne Division. Now, the thing to remember is that this battle, this was a daytime jump, not like any of the previous battles such as D-Day. Now, the thing to remember is the only advantage with the daytime jump is that there's no darkness to cover you. Now, if the cities have anti-aircraft guns around them and stuff, that is where it would be a lot more dangerous because the enemy is able to see you, and this could inflict even more casualties. As I have stated about the Battle of Dien Bien Phu with the French jumping during Dien Bien Phu. That was a daytime jump, but that was another battle, and that was way later on. But this would be a case in point. Now, to get to the battle. Now, currently all the positions I have here is where everybody was pretty much at for day 2. But we'll get to the battle lesson right now. The purpose for this battle was to capture as many bridges as they can so that way the British force or the armored division would be able to get through and be able to reach over up north to the Rhine River and have the lower Rhine River, because this took place in the Netherlands on September 17th through the 25th, 1944. Now, D-Day had been a victory because they were able to drive the German forces further into the European territory and hopefully drive them back to Germany. But and the reason why they had so many, for some of them, there was so many drop zones outside of the city was because they wanted them in the outskirts as for the purpose of the daytime thing. So, but the problem there is they would have to force march to wherever city they were supposed to be in. So that could exhaust some of your troops a little. And so, but on day 1, the 101st Airborne Division captured bridges north of Endova, while Graves at Mass was captured by the 82nd Airborne Division. So, by day 2, the 30th Armored Division was able to meet with troops, and they were able to capture bridges near Imjin, which is over here, where they were getting ready to, but the 1st Airborne Division had to fight their way into Arnhem, which is right there. They had to fight their way into there, so there was more heavy fighting that was yet to come. And Model, who was part of the Field Marshal for the Nazis, and he had a reputation for improvising battle plans. So this made him pretty much a worst nightmare for the Allied forces, despite the fact they didn't know much about him, but he always had a tendency to actually be able to improvise on the battle plans. However, the Germans had a little bit of luck on their side for this battle. but they were able to cut off communications by attacking the flanks. And some of the some of the failures for this battle was one of those. Also with bad weather that prevented reinforcements such as a Polish airborne division being able to land or do a jump. But in the end, the real reason and how the Germans were lucky was that there was a glider that crashed in a drop zone and it killed every man on there. Unfortunately, one of the men had a copy of the battle plans with them in the glider, and it fell into the German hands, and the Germans were able to counter attack and also counter every move that the Allied forces had done. So this is how the Germans had a little bit of luck on their side. As I stated, the battle continued on, but then by day 10, with all the heavy casualties and heavy fighting, pretty much, by the 10th day, the airborne division, the 101st Airborne Division, only occupied Erde, which is also where the 20th Armored Division did, excuse me. They also had occupied St. Odenderen and Vegel, which is right here. But the 82nd Airborne Division, I didn't mark them down, but I believe they were still in the Graves area. But the 30th Armored Division was able to stay in Uden and Graves and Helmond, which is, bear with me please, right over here. So they were here and they were up here, so they were pretty close to succeeding and getting to Arnhem. But for those of you who are, before I continue finishing up here, for those of you who are very interested in war films and stuff and you want to see a movie about Operation Market Garden, check out A Bridge Too Far, which was actually a phrase that was used about the Arnhem Bridge that the Allied forces believed was a bridge too far. Now, as I stated, the 20th Armored Division had Erde. As for the German forces, they occupied Best, and they also occupied Germont, which is right there. Gemert, excuse me. Schlichtenbüttel, which is right here. Then they also had Lempede, which is somewhere around here. But they also had occupied Hartgrobensche, and also they had occupied in front of the British forces in front at Oss. In the end, the battle was pretty much a failure. Now, the casualties were that the Allied forces suffered 17,000 casualties, and the Germans suffered 8,000. In the end, the survivors had to use assault boats to get across the river to safety. And they had to fight another day, and the war went on a little bit longer. Now, my sources for this battle are the 110 battles, decisive conflicts that have shaped the world. Another would be John Antall's Hell's Highway, the true story of the 101st Airborne Division during Operation Market Garden, September 17th, 25th, 1944. And I also have one more source. Well, but before I go any further, the source of where I found out about the plans falling into the Germans' hands, I had written a paper about this battle for my World War II history class. Unfortunately, I was not able to acquire the source, and otherwise I would cite my source on that. But the other source that I have for this presentation is Sarah Pruitt's article, "The Allies Hoped That Operation Market Garden Would End World War II Sooner. here's what happened. And that's at history.com. But if you want the actual address, it's https at history.com/news/operation-market-garden-failures-allies. It was accessed just before shooting this video, and if I recall correctly, it was posted in September of 2019. I hope some other things that I'm going to say is, if you are curious to learn more about this battle, that it's briefly mentioned in Band of Brothers because they did land in Holland. There's also a book called Hell's Highway, which is written by a gentleman who I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he wrote also a book about the Battle of Bastogne and D-Day. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed learning about the Battle of Operation Market Garden, or getting a brief summary of it. I did the best I could with this, but thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and of course, don't forget to click subscribe. Until then, this is Nate Schulte signing out. Thank you very much.